Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we are here today to discuss Book One of Midnight Tides. Lots to talk about. So, here with Crystal and Layla. Crystal, will you give us an introduction?
Oh, hello. My name is Crystal. I do have a channel here on YouTube, Fly Mercy, where I talk books there. And I'm just kind of digging into this read along with Steve and them. So to get back into the series. So, yep.
Glad you can make it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And Layla,
Yes. I'm Layla Goshi. I'm a English professor and editor of the magazine.
busy.
Yes.
Yeah. So, since we'll be book one in this one, I've heard a lot of people complain about the change of continents and a whole new cast of characters, but I actually liked the change of pace. I liked new characters and the new setting, and I thought it was hilarious. There's a lot of humor in this
Yeah.
first book. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Subtle humor, maybe. I appreciated a few things. One was when Sarah and Pevek was talking to Hull Benedict, if I have that name correct. Where I think I haven't quite figured out what their relationship is, but I think they're trying to get to know each other maybe. And he, you know, he's talking to her, and she says, "I bet you know who. I bet you can imagine who I was as a child." And he's like, "Oh, you were." Like studious and good and all this. And she like comes back and she's like, no, I was like a hellraiser. And so I just found that, kind of interesting. And I kept wanting to compare her to Tattersail, although I don't think there's anything real there. I think more I felt that I didn't have enough about her character. She tells us who she was, so it helps us understand what she's capable of, but no real sense yet, I think, of who she is otherwise. But yeah, I enjoyed that back and forth between them.
Hmm.
See
Mhm.
where that goes.
What did you think, Crystal? Did you catch the humor?
Uh,
It took me a while to catch it.
oh, yeah. I think particularly with, what's his name? Teho Benedict.
Hmm.
And my man, what's his name? My man Bug, is that his name? Yeah, my man Bug. Yeah, those guys are like a hoot together. I like their interaction a lot. And then Tejal's interaction with the three ladies.
Mhm.
What's their names? Oh no, Tom Bell. They're funny. That whole interaction was really funny. And yeah, they just I like that. And at first, I was like, when I first started, I was like, wait a minute, we're in like a totally different place with all these new characters. But I was like, okay, maybe we just need to let's do a reset then. Okay, we're good. Let's see where this goes. So, but I am definitely liking the change of characters and change of scenery. I think because I got so bogged down by book four, so I'm kind of like, it's kind of reviving
Mhm.
the series for me a little bit
Yeah,
since I struggled with that one. So I think for me, yeah, it's definitely working out having just a little, a little fresh place here, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
And don't worry about the character names because I can't remember most of any of
I
them. There's
know.
so many of them, so I
yeah.
don't remember character names either. It's really tough. Well, Mocha,
And it's
thanks for
interesting learning
coming
about the
by.
Sangar brothers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The Sangar family. I'm enjoying kind of getting to know those three brothers and all those. That too. I'm liking that.
Lots of brothers in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of family dynamics. Yeah.
Hmm. And Jacob, what part of Midnight Tides did you stop at? We stopped at book one, so about 140 pages in my
Yeah,
edition.
something like
Yeah,
that.
Mm.
trying to take it slow. And the prologue, I love the prologues in all these books. It's another
Mhm.
another
Oh,
good one. I did have a
Yeah,
question.
this was a good one.
I did have a question about the crippled god because I thought he was chained up, but I wasn't sure if this is happening before or after. Are we in the same time period, or are we jumping around?
I think we've jumped way back somehow, way back
I, f- I
because,
feel like,
oh yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
well, okay, yeah, because, the whole idea of at the end of the prologue, there is a Jaghut standing at the edge of the horizon, I guess, um, doing some kind of ritual. And then maybe a page later, it says something to the effect of you Jaghuts, you Jaghuts solve everything with ice. He's saying, I'm cleaning this place up, and they said you solve everything with ice. And so I'm wondering if that's actually a precursor to what has happened, what we've come to in Memories of Ice in that book. Is this the same plane where, you know, things happened and now in Memories of Ice, they were back on that plane. And then also, Troll Singar, um, who we're seeing now are the people that like chained Troll Singar down and excommunicated him. I mean, am I right? Yeah. So that must be way in the past too.
I think for sure the prologue is definitely some kind of like, of course, far
Wait,
back time period. Just because of what it feels that way. And there's they're getting that sword. They get that sword maker,
yeah.
and so I'm guessing I don't know whose sword it was now, or whose sword they were making.
A very special sword.
Yeah.
But I wrote here sword maker. What did I write here? Sword maker brought by fallen elder god to make a sword. That's whatever that's supposed to mean.
So Jacob is here. He mentions it takes place 1161 of Burned Sleep. At 1163 is when Game of Thrones, or I'm sorry, Game of Thrones, Guardians of the Moon starts. Sorry, getting my fantasy series confused. So
Okay.
we do jump back.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I
was gonna look here. Yeah.
Something else I thought of as in regard to Troll Singar that I found somewhat amusing. I don't know if it was intended to be, but Troll Singar sees Ruald, his brother, no, Rulad, his brother, lusting after his other brother's intended betrothed, or his betrothed. And Troll Singar just can't stop himself from saying something, you know. And I remember the reason they excommunicated him is because he says because he can't help but tell the truth. So again, I just wonder if there's some connection there. And even though his brother Fear probably should have been paying attention to what his younger brother was, the eyes he was casting on his betrothed, he's kind of blaming Troll for like stirring up trouble or calling attention to it. And I found that dynamic interesting just in regard to what we know happens to Troll. Here. And I don't know if it has a betrothed or if he's just such, maybe such a just cannot stop himself from saying things out loud. If that's finally why they just finally said, "Okay, you're out." So
Yeah.
And there's lots of good moments like that in this one. A lot of really funny dialogue and the kind of the dry humor that the the characters go back and forth with.
Yeah.
I like that we're fleshing out this world too. We learn that there's an enslaved people, and then these Lethery, these folks coming in, and so I look forward to seeing kind of where all of this just sort of comes into play. All these different things. Um, I think we definitely have some good setup here in this book. I think for something to look forward to.
Mm.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, there were some quotations that I pulled out of it. I thought were interesting. One when Saren Pedek was describing her youth. Um, where is it? They said something that I like the concept of it. It's something like, oh, here it is. We are not born innocent, simply unmeasured. And so it's not a case of racking up your good or bad points. It's, you know, or being innocent and then taking a fall, but just who are you? And then how are we going to measure who you are? I just found that really an interesting way of looking at things.
Mm.
Another frame.
Yeah. I love the way Erickson sets up his scenes, and he can go from a like a lighthearted conversation to like a darker scene and pretty seamlessly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other light-hearted things I think was the drink, the orange rinds, honey, and tusk seal sperm, which he said men tended to like more than women. He said.
Yeah.
So that was another this little angle of humor I thought was great.
There's a couple pages. I wrote it. I marked it. Chapter 4.
Mhm.
And there's this whole thing about between women, what women can handle, what women do, what men do. That whole thing is like,
Yeah,
but on a cobbled beach, a man looks down and sees one rock, then another and another. A woman looks down and sees rocks. But perhaps even this is simplistic. Man as singular, as women as plural. More likely we are bits of both, some of one in the other. We just don't like admitting it.
I thought that was
That was something I wrote.
I thought that was very interesting. And wasn't there another place where something similar was said? I think Saren Pedek said something like men can bond over like a shared look, but women use more language and women use words.
Possibly.
I found that interesting only because in the previous books so far, there hasn't really been a lot of lines being drawn, and even when Steven Erickson, I've seen him in other podcasts too, but I think when he was on Steve's show, mentioning how this is meant to be an equitable world, but yet characters are self-defining their, you know, gender attributes, I guess you'd say. And I just found that to be an interesting part of that at this point, because we haven't heard a whole lot of that in the other books that I remember. And again, it's an interesting question, and do we accept those stereotypes? Sometimes, yeah. I mean, so.
Mm-hmm. There's this line here. This is I like I think it's Saren and who else is in here? This conversation, maybe Hull. But there's too easy to conclude with a private sneer that men were simple. Granted, had they been strangers, they might well be circling and sniffling each other's anuses right now.
Right. That's yeah.
But it's like, words knit the skein between and among women, in the language of gesture and expression, all merging to fashion a tapestry that, as every woman understood, could tear in but one direction by deliberate, vicious effort. A friendship among women knew but one enemy, and that was malice. I really liked that line. Yeah, I like Saren. I like her. I like her a lot.
You know, she's saying that very interesting, and the only female pairing in this book is Mayan, the bride or the fiance, and Uruth, the potential mother-in-law, the future mother-in-law, and they seem to have an odd bond, I think, kind of a power. You know, kind of a power imbalance where Mayan seems to be taking on more power, and Trull even says he thinks she's aware of the power her beauty brings her. So I just wonder if we're supposed to juxtapose that opinion of Saren with the behavior of Uruth and Mayan, but we haven't got that far into the book to see whether it's going to go, although I think it's starting to fray toward the end.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that plays out also.
Yeah.
Every worthwhile plan is diabolical.
Oh, I marked that one.
Did you?
That's my man Tejo, yeah. I marked that one.
Yeah, that's
I
a great
think
one.
Tejo, he's like sleeping up on the roof, you know, and like he like wears the little skirt, you know. I don't know. He's a hoot. I like him a lot. He'll probably die at some point.
Yeah, probably. And I think you both have already mentioned it, but Bug, his back and forth. Does he know I'm dead? Of course, and sends his regards. Does he? No, I made that up.
That makes me laugh thinking about it.
Yeah.
So who's the lady? Oh, the Shirk, the like undead, the undead woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I'm excited about her. She like, you know, she's been hired to do something, to be a thief, you know, I'm not sure what yet, but I'm excited to see. And that her interaction with her and that young kid who was also this undead person.
Okay, Shirk Alal.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
is Kettle?
Hello?
Kettle.
Yeah. What was that? I wrote it down. Hold on. Should I like the undead cursed? Kettle, yes. Young girl who's also like this like undead person.
Yeah, I feel like we're just meeting all of these characters, and they're just launch into. We're getting enough of a hint, you know, to start to see some of their personality. I'm very curious about Mayan, I have to say, because she seems to be aware of, looking at his name again, Rulad's affections for her. And I can't quite tell if she invites them, you know, but where is it going to get her when, you know, she's marrying into this family? What could it possibly benefit her, you know? And maybe she's not thinking that far too ahead, or maybe she's not even thinking at all. But also she's not paying attention. Yeah. So, but I find
Mhm.
it really, there's something there, I think. Oh, I know what it was between Man and Yoruth. I think Yoruth is saying, um, there's a Lethery slave, Udanas, who is possessed, and Yoruth tries
Oh.
to figure out if he really is possessed, and she said she couldn't detect anything. And I think Mayan came back and said, "Oh well, maybe they're just so smart you can't detect them." And my impression is that didn't go over too well. So she was standing up to her future mother-in-law. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Friend Dolores is here. We'll stay along since I haven't read the book. Enjoy the conversation.
Although I don't think we'll have too many spoilers here yet because we just read book 1. So
Yeah, there's there's a little bit. The Tist Andy and the Tist Ender,
mhm.
their
Oh.
battles. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't a ton that at least I could think of to spoil.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that I am just aware of is Hull Benedict again. Going back to him, he seems to be carrying a guilt complex because apparently he had originally gone out on the Lethery King's request to find out all he could about these tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he thought he was going like on a search for knowledge, and he went and got all this information and brought it back. But they really wanted it so that they could, go back and take over. And so he resigned, if I understand correctly, he resigned from being the king's reed or the king's sentinel. And so I think that's another situation to watch between him and Saren Pedek in terms of, he's carrying a weight. He's carrying a wound, so where is that going to take him? That was one of my things I just started thinking about, because it says he considered that he was now blood brothers with some of those tribes, but it was his fault that they were attacked. And I just love stuff like that. I love that conflict of you think you're doing right and it just all falls apart, and then how do we solve this, or does it get solved? And I think in Malazan it doesn't always seem that things turn out quite that neatly. So
No.
Oh, really?
Hull's so tragic. Hull's so tragic. Matt on Bucks. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Yeah. I kind of wondered if we should have gone through book 2, or because it kind of felt like there was a little bit, not a ton, and there was some things that I just didn't quite put together. So I was, I think I'm still a little bit lost in this series. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, and I think it's just a case of learning new names and new personalities, and then just trying to fit it in with the broader Malazan world, and really what some of those subtle connections might be. And so I'm lost, but I have hope. Yeah.
I'm always lost in this series, but I'm just keep going.
Yeah.
I'm just rolling with it. I just kind of hope by the last book I will have like somewhat put two and two things together and be like, oh, okay.
That's kind of where I am too, just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
One connection I made that I found Another one that I found kind of satisfying was the fact that when what is his name, Blood-Eye, Blood-Eye kills Silchus Ruin, and then he thinks he's eradicated all of the Tista Andi because they, double-crossed them. But we know, except for he thinks there's somebody out there roaming around, and it's going to turn out to be Anamander Rake. And so just knowing, what, and from Gardens in the Moon, just knowing what happens in that book, that, he's got moon spawn and he's a powerful person. So I feel like this book, we're starting to turn that tide with that, no pun intended. we're starting to maybe turn the corner where some things might start to get put together if we just, catch them. Yes, Scapendary Blood-Eye.
Yeah, and Jacob makes a great point. I thought Hull was genuinely interested in the cultures he scouted out, but was essentially betrayed with that knowledge he brought back and tore him up. That was probably the most interesting part as far as the story goes for me, is that story with Hull, and he went out thinking he was doing something good and ended up using it against them to just like reverse it. So I thought that was a great part of the story, and I enjoyed Hull as a character because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I imagine it. I kind of thought back to Columbus is what I was thinking of when I read that, is learning how everyone lives, and then you use that against them to conquer them.
Yeah. It also made me think, I thought of that, and I also thought, how it's saying something about knowledge in general too, how you might, be seeking new knowledge for very altruistic reasons, but there's always that double-edged sword where someone can do something diabolical, to use that word that's used in the book too. So I kind of like having that idea introduced into the story. And that's an old, there's that old saying that the best laid plans, so I like that he includes, I think, some of these timeless truths for us to think about.
And DK Moon mentions that not much of this book ties to the first 4 books. It will, but doesn't seem like it at this time. So I guess we shouldn't feel too bad. Matt mentions Hull went native, so to speak, and ended up hating his own culture and their greed. Really tragic figure.
I'm curious if I might ask Matt, since he's on. I'm very interested in Mayan and don't know much about her. So what at this point is in book 1, do you think she's displaying kind of a sense of self-importance, or is she truly an innocent in and everyone else is kind of calculating how they're going to use her? So or anyone in the chat who's read the book, curious to know what people's thoughts are. Yeah.
This first section was a lot of fun, though. It reminded me a lot of part 1 of House of Chains, just the different scope, and I was able to spend it wasn't a single POV in this first part, but I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Jacob, that's a question.
Okay, I'll hold on.
Yeah.
We can find out there. Okay. Jacob and Matt said the same thing at about the same time. So, yeah. Keep
I feel like
reading.
that's this whole series.
Yeah. Well, it's great. She kind of demonstrates both. You think, okay, this virginal fiance is probably just clueless, but Trollsingar is telling us there's something more.
Mm.
He thinks there's something more going on. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe she's just playing some part, and I'll be interested for sure to see.
Matt mentions she becomes more fleshed out later. In book 1, she seems like she's maybe innocent.
Mm.
I don't feel so bad now, knowing that there's not a whole lot of connections, because I feel less lost, I guess.
Oh. The other scene that really stuck out to me was the preparation of the corpse. I believe it was a Tista Idor warrior, and they had heated coins and stuck them all over the corpse. Do you remember that? And then they poured wax. They
wax,
Mm-hmm.
all over the corpse. And then they were supposed to sit vigil over it. And I can't remember if we came back to the end of that ceremony or not, or if the corpse is still, sitting there somewhere. But
I can't remember.
Yeah, I really liked. It made me think of mummification, of course, and just looking forward to learning a little more about what that might symbolize, especially the coins. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was another one that I was trying to think back on previous books on that too, but I couldn't think of anything.
Was anything? Yeah. Or yeah. Oh, I know, but later on, when I think it's Saren Pevek and Hull are coming, I guess they're coming up to the Tista Idor village. I could have this wrong, but they notice a fire, and they say that the Tista Idor used fire in their funeral. So maybe they did end up burning the corpse. So I have to look back at that.
Oh.
And wondering the purpose for that. That's one of my standout questions that I had. So. Yeah.
I'm also very interested in the Warlock King, Hanan Mosag. I want to know more about him. He seems cool.
He does, and he seems to definitely has some plots cooking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I was saying, it does kind of make me, I kind of distrust him a bit, because as I forget who said it, but it was pointed out that he's sending these brothers who are all, hold positions of responsibility and are important people, and he's sending them all out together to this ice field to find this sword.
Mm-hmm.
So it does cause me to wonder, is he just trying to get rid of them?
Mm-hmm.
Or something else going on?
Or something else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
DK Moon mentions the coins. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Crystal.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, DK Moon mentions the coins on the body seem like the worst idea of culture. I just couldn't see a way that a group could really come up with that and think, good idea.
Right. I was wondering, is that supposed to be wealth in the next world? Oh, yeah. Like Nat is saying.
Yeah, bury their dead with valuables. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, Chris. What were you going to say?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's fine.
Oh.
But that's why they put coins over the eyes, and some other sort of death culture too. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Another quote that I'm really thinking about hard, especially now that I know that this is about the same time frame as Gardens of the Moon. There's a quote, I'm going to pull it up on my Kindle. Who says that? I think, is it Halbedik or Baruch the Pale? But one of them says, the seventh closure draws near. But I fear it will be nothing like what all of us have been taught. The birth of empire, oh yes, but who shall rule it? So I'm wondering if that refers to the Malazan Empire and the, the assassination of the emperor and the rise of, Lassine.
Let's see.
So I just wonder, that's another little note I made, what's going on here.
I always seem to have more questions after every book.
Yeah.
Jacob mentions the Eater don't really understand their own traditions. I believe that is the point Erickson tries to make.
Oh, great point.
Mm-hmm. The Eater are lost, big theme in Tides. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Makes more sense now.
Because in House of Chains, I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Because the Eater there's not many left, right? Or am
No.
I confusing them with something else?
No, I don't think there's many left, right? I think.
Or they're coming back. Let me think. Are these the guys that are attacking that one place where they're trying to get the throne? Are those the Eater, or was that somebody else? Yeah, I'm confusing myself because.
Oh, in House of Change.
Mm-hmm. The House of Chains, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think.
Or was it the other Tisty group?
The Andy?
The Tisty other guys.
Oh.
I get them confused too.
Yeah. House
The
of Change.
Tisty who's it's and the Tisty was it's and the.
House of Change
Oh, Lord.
was Fellison, and Fellison and her sister was leading, the remnants of the chain of dogs.
Yeah.
Remember
But there was that.
Yeah.
Am I even in the right book? There was like this island.
Yeah, those were Eater. Matt's
Okay.
help us.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that was them.
Okay, yeah, I lose track too. It's tough to keep up.
Oh yeah, that's when they were. You're right. The island. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With what's her name and what's his face?
Crocus becomes
String?
Crocus' new name, blade or knife.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because that dude changed his name. I was like, why are you going to change your name? Oh my God. I barely keep track of who you are in the first place, and then you change your name.
Yeah. I'll remember that in a minute. But
What's his name? Cutter, I think.
Cutter, thank
Cutter.
you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But he was something else before. And then. Oh, gosh.
No, but you know what's good here? We're getting this is definitely a series to read twice. I mean, I think we're getting the structure this time, but those details like names and so on, sometimes you can't remember them until you can associate them, with the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Or, something like that. Yeah, Crocus Cutter. So I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jacob, thank you for your contributions. They were helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. He has to go, but he'll be sure to join for the full book spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of amazing conversations to have.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one this book isn't as long as I expected it to be.
Mm.
So I wonder if a lot of, if a central piece, another question we can put out there is, Charles Singar saw the seals being killed on the beach. That was one of the first things, So I'm wondering if things first center will come back to that original scene, in some way, or that, area of tides that, the Lethery were killing the seals, during, what was it, high tide, maybe? So I feel like maybe that's something to watch.
Mhm.
Well, and it was mentioned several times too throughout this whole section about those seals getting killed.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's obviously like somewhat important. I mean, I feel like it has to be for you to
yeah,
keep mentioning it.
yeah. And that's the tribe's resources. Um, so that,
Hmm.
and people fight over resources. I'm trying to remember, maybe it was on one of our sessions where we had to talk about resources recently. Oh, no, it wasn't. I was talking about, but generally people move and act because of their resources.
Mhm.
So I just wonder if, yeah, things are centering around that particular scene. And again, Trull again is the messenger. He's the one that comes back and tells what he's seen.
Hmm.
So
I think we talked resources on the Expanse, right? Is that the one we?
possibly, yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
How it ties into life and motivations,
yeah.
decisions.
Mhm. And making the connection, they bury the dead's resources with them, or some of them.
Hmm. Matt mentions, I think it's clearly said already. There's a treaty, and the seal should be for the eater, but the others are burning them.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And a meeting between the Warlock King and the Lethery is supposed to be upcoming.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For negotiations,
Mhm.
or anything else you guys can think of for part one or book one?
Um, only that
Just that I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I think the prologue too is supposed
Mm.
to. I really think, just my thoughts are that it is showing us the beginning of a lot, because I think that's when they first began fighting over the Warren, and the dragon is there. We haven't mentioned the dragon yet,
Oh
but
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, the dragon, which I think actually represents a different Warren, if I understand. So I think we've got, yeah,
Yeah.
like some good stuff.
Yeah. I forgot to mention the dragon. Yeah, and you would think you'd remember
Hmm.
the dragon, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a cool scene.
Hunting
Yeah,
hunting them. Yeah.
Mhm.
and I, those three women, the Hedgen, Resar, and Shand, or however you pronounce it.
Mhm.
I'm just really interested in those three women too,
Mm.
and with them working with, Tehol and yeah, and then the other the undead woman, I can't remember her name. I would, yeah, I want to know. That group, I think I might be most interested in for some reason, so, because I'm interested, yeah.
They seem
Shirk, the
pretty.
thief, yeah.
They seem almost like the every person kind of thing. They seem like they're kind of on the boots on the ground kind of thing, like
Hmm.
relatable in a way, just entertaining.
And one other
And they're
thing they,
just they're scheming. They're scheming
Yeah.
something. So I just, they've got this big plan. So I just, yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
when you said three women, for some reason it made me think of like a tarot card, and then I started thinking about the deck, and they did mention reading something in Midnight Tides as well. I think it was reading the tiles.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if those are the same thing. And yes, Undead Woman. Sure.
Thank you.
A lot of characters, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get it in a minute. By book 2, I'll have her name down.
So, but I'm wondering if pairings like that, or the three women, if they represent, if we're seeing representations of the deck without really realizing it. That's what I'm trying to get out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
T-Hull and Bug, big love. I love those characters.
Oh
Yeah.
God, me
great.
too.
Yeah.
Well,
But so far, so good.
yeah, I think so. I'm on
Yeah.
board.
Mhm.
I'm anxious to find out what happens next.
Yep.
It'll start coming
For
together.
sure.
So we'll talk after we wrap up the stream about when to talk book 2, or if you want to go farther. Looks like book 2 is a lot bigger than book 1, at least in my edition.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out and let everyone know when
Okay.
the next discussion will be. So, yes, I love that. It's so good. This
Which one do you have? Do you have the same
the
copy?
trade. I
Oh,
think
you
so.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the dragon
Got the
skull.
chunky one.
Oh, the chunky one.
I
Oh,
got
the
the chunky
paperback.
monkey.
Yeah, the mass market.
But I've also been listening to the audio as I read,
Mm.
and that is helpful, especially for like pronunciations. And the
Yeah,
narrator is pretty good,
Is
so
he?
it's helping me. I think definitely stay interested. Also,
Yeah, that's what I use. It helps me focus. So I really have
Yes.
Audible to tackle this series. I have Audible, Kindle, and well, I have this paperback and Gardens of the Moon, but the others I just have on Kindle right now. But
Mhm.
yeah, but it helps focus, and because the sentences are so dense, it just helps a lot.
Mhm. That's a good point. Yeah, I did listen to a lot of audio on House of Chains, and it helped me. I felt like I followed the story better with the audio.
That's how I got through that book. Man, I don't know if I would have made it otherwise. House of Chains about broke me, man.
Yeah, it's quite the book for sure.
Yeah.
So, Crystal, if people want to get in touch with you, where's the best place to find you?
Oh, so I'm here on YouTube at Fiber Artsy. Fiber Artsy pretty much anywhere, on Instagram also, Twitter, all the places. Yeah. But here on YouTube, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'll be sure to add your link down below. And Layla, what about you and your work?
I am on Twitter and Instagram, both as Layla Goshi and also as Bellady Magazine. I'm happy to say I'll be interviewing a few folks coming up. One is a speculative fiction writer who lives in Iran, owns a bookstore, and is just generally all into science fiction and stuff. So we're going to hear from her, and then a couple of comics illustrators, and just start to have fun with it.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
That
That
sounds
sounds
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Nice. Looking forward to it. And I'll add I'll link to the channel down below too as soon as we wrap up. But thanks everyone for coming by and helping us out, because I need it. So thanks for
I know.
all the help you provide us finding our way through the dark in here. So,
Yeah.
but thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.